Hi, my name is John Ralco, and I'll start out this video with a controversial statement, which is true, and I'll qualify for you. Trump was naive compared to me. And that is not said out of disrespect. It's just a matter of fact out of experience in running for elections. Trump was very fortunate. He ran and won in his first election. Me, in 2010, for the U.S. Senate primary, that's the primary election for the namesake for Hawaii's airport, Senator Dan Inouye. He was a U.S. Senator for Hawaii for many, many years, considered the most powerful man in Hawaii. For about 3 months in 2010, I was the only GOP Republican candidate opposing him. That was until about June 24th or so, when Cam Cavasso joined the election, and Cam Cavasso won. He beat me. So in 2010, I got 21% of the GOP primary for U.S. Senate Hawaii. And then I ran again a few more times. I ran 2012. 2012, Linda Lingle beat all of us pretty badly. She was a former governor. 2014, I received about 12%. And 2016, the last time that I ran for GOP U.S. Senator Hawaii, Senator Dan Inouye's position, the namesake of Hawaii's airport, I received about 11%. So when I say Trump was naive compared to me, that is not out of disrespect. It's just out of him running only one time for office and my having run 4 times and coming second in the primary. So in all of these, I was second in the GOP primary. And just off being second in the GOP primary 3 times in an election for what is considered the most powerful position in Hawaii, I became a target. And that's also why I say that Trump was naive compared to me. Trump was a target in the media. He obviously had business transactions, that type of thing, but he hadn't dipped into politics to the extent where he would be targeted by the opposing party. So that is the initial statement that I make, and it's valid. It's valid. He only ran 1 time and he won. I ran 3 times and I became a target because I got second in the GOP primary for U.S. Senate Hawaii 3 times. But I also became a target right off the bat. In 2010, I'll just say a few things about when I first ran. Hawaii, if you want to Google it, population statistics, it's approximately 20% Filipino. Hawaii, we're out here in the center of the Pacific and the rim of Hawaii. Hawaii has a composite of many different cultures, and there's a historical presence of working on the plantations. The king of Hawaii, I think it was King Kalakaua. I'm sorry if I'm incorrect about that, but he essentially opened up Hawaii for workers from various different countries. Portuguese came, Japanese came, Filipinos came, etc. So he essentially opened up Hawaii for many different cultures of workers to work the plantations. And as a result, Hawaii has a large Japanese-American population, Chinese-American population, happens to have a 20% Filipino population, and the Caucasians are actually a minority here compared to the composite of all the other populations. So Hawaii is 20% Filipino. This is significant because I'm just talking about why I would be a target here. Excuse me. I'll use black so I can see better. Hawaii is 20% Filipino. And that's significant because we have a lot of people here, 2nd, 3rd generation, etc., 4th generation, what have you, that have connections to the Philippines still. We have people that have their grandpas, grandmas come over from the Philippines, that type of thing. Even 1st generation people from the Philippines. And one of the reasons why I'd be more targeted and why Trump I consider to be naive compared to me is because I have a cousin who in 1998, this is significant still, I became president in 1998, got third place, and this is in a multi-party election for president of the Philippines. He placed third in the presidential election for the Philippines with about 14% of the vote. 4% of the vote for the presidency. What that means is about 1 in 7 Filipinos voted for him. And he was not someone that had a large party backing. He was basically an independent like myself. So an independent that got third in presidential election. He was a U.S. Senator of the Philippines, the equivalent of what Dan Inouye was for Hawaii. He was a U.S. Senator, a Philippine Senator. And he also was at one point the Education Secretary for Arroyo. And interestingly, in 2003, he topped the polls. If you just Google 2003 SWS, that's a poll taken in the Philippines, Raul Roco. If you just Google that, 2003 SWS Raul Roco, unless they hack it before you get to it, if you just Google that, you'll see that he was expected to win the election in 2005. Long story short, Arroyo decided to run. He got cancer and died right just towards the end of the election. So it didn't happen. But around 2003, everyone thought that he would be president. So the name recognition there is quite high. And that is significant for Hawaii because that essentially makes me a target. And that's why I say that Trump was much more naive than me because I was targeted here. Let me take that out. And let me just get into a little bit about why I ran. I had a car accident March 8th of 2000, and I largely lost consistent speech. I couldn't speak like this. I could speak off an outline. I could speak, I could make a lecture. I could rehearse a lecture. I could rehearse a speech, and I could deliver it. But in impromptu speaking, I couldn't quite do that. It was just kind of gone. And that happened in March 8, 2000. I was a social worker in California for foster family agencies. I was going to a home visit. It was a very crowded intersection. I forget the name of the two streets. But it was very crowded intersection, and someone was going 60 miles per hour. And wham, bam, boom, hit my car. It was a T-bone. Let's see. She was going down there. Oh. So she was trying to go, here's the intersection. She's trying to make the light. She's going about 60. And my Chevy Suburban was going forward. And so the interaction was here, and my head hit. And so I had to take a 1-year leave of absence from university. I was supposed to be a PhD clinical psychologist. I couldn't happen because of the car accident. And I had 10, depending on the degree of recovery you talk about, I had 10 to 15 to, I had quite a long recovery. Still stuff things still happen from the accident, I'll just say that. It's not 100% recovery. So in around 2010, I could speak more predictably for about 10 to 15 minutes at a time, more predictably. Some of the impromptu speech was coming back, and I wanted to celebrate, and I ran for office. That's the truth, man. So that was 2010. I to a large degree, I could speak, but I wasn't at all fully recovered. But I knew that I could speak impromptu enough for short stints that I could run for office. It was very interesting. I was a disabled guy running for office, but I was celebrating the degree of recovery that I had. And I'm also from Chehalis, Washington. Oh my gosh, we're losing color here. I'm from Chehalis, Washington. Originally, I went to high school there. Chehalis Bearcats, man. So I went to high school in Chehalis, Washington, and everyone runs for office. A friend of my mom's ran for office. A fellow that taught me tennis ran for office. He actually later worked as the chair for one elected official, Jay Vanderstoop. So I was familiar with people running for office. I was legislative aide when I was in high school. And so 2010, I mean, people just ran for office. At one point I had a dinner with my kids at Alamana Center. We were at Bubba Gump's, which is now gone, the shrimp restaurant off of what's his name, off of the Bubba Gump movie. Okay, and so I decided to run. I said, my kids, I'm going to run for office, and I did, and it was kind of cool. I got 20% of the primary. But right now, let's go ahead and go deeper into the subject here, how the Democratic Party maintains one-party dominance in Hawaii. In terms of how they got there, I'm going to put a link to an article that you can read. But this is more how it maintains that dominance. And so I'm not going to give the whole outline here because I think there'll probably be a series of videos here. But the first one. First, just I'll say electronic mastery over competition. Now, when I say electronic mastery, okay, everyone, the whole world knows, the whole nation and the world knows how Obama hacked Merkel's phone. And what I'll say is that was not an exception. That was the rule. That was not an exception to the rule. That was the rule. In 2010, I was making political videos like this one. This is the first political video I made in ages. I made some in 2014, 16, whatever. 2010, I was making like a series of political videos. And these were YouTubes, and at one point I was making a YouTube, to upload, and then I went to another tab, went back to the YouTube tab, and what I just typed was being erased. And I kind of freaked. Now, I talked to people about it, IT guys, etc. There was no key stuck. There was never, ever, ever a key stuck on my computer. And there was erasure. It was being backspaced. What I just written was being erased before my eyes. And that was 2010, about 3 months after I joined the election. This was before Cam Cavasso joined in, and so I was the only GOP Republican senator opponent to Dan Inouye. So I go, whoa, big deal. Okay, the computer got completely washed clean, et cetera, et cetera. I don't believe that electronic mastery again. So life went on. I put in two-factor verification where you have to call your phone, et cetera. I thought I'm safe, et cetera. But then, a few things happened. And now I'll remove the electronic mastery. But a few things happened. I'm still on the topic of electronic mastery, but my counseling practice got hacked. I realized it eventually, but what happened is I was a private practice counselor. I did private practice so that I could, because of my speech difficulties and the difficulties from the accident, I decided to go in private practice. I tried working for some folks, but I really needed private practice so I could schedule and space out clients, et cetera, that type of thing. So I went to private practice, and I always required ID from my clients. I always required, because it was court-mandated services, and I mean, if someone was extremely violent or made death threats, et cetera, I'm required to report that to authorities. And so I need to obtain identification so I could show the authorities who this person is who's making whatever threats. That does happen. That has happened. People that were homicidal or threatening within my practice. Anyhow, so I had a client that refused to give me his ID. He refused. He just snickered at me. I go, okay, I'll go ahead and see you. And so I saw the client. Eventually, he did a Google review of me. And the heading of that review mimicked a political attack blog from 2010. So I go, oh my gosh, they're sending people to my counseling. And I knew they were trying this for a while, but they just started to succeed. Then I had 1 week where there were 3 calls, which I knew were not legitimate clients. My practice had been going since 2010. This was around 2011 2017, 2018, and I knew these were not from real clients, and they were getting very good at disguising themselves as clients. And so I just closed my practice. It's a dangerous situation because I could deal with very homicidal clients, and if someone was sending pseudo clients to me, I would see clients alone at night, et cetera, in my office, and if someone wanted to do ill to me, which also already was happening on the internet, it was quite easy. I decided, okay, if they're going to do stuff, I'll just close practice. So I closed my practice and I just started working on a film. Backstory on that: in 2000, back in when I was 21 or so, I was supposed to be a movie star in the Philippines. My other cousin, so I have one cousin, Rocco. My other cousin, Bimbo Rocco. He's a movie star in the Philippines. If you just Google New York Times Manila in claws of light, if you just Google that, New York Times, Manila and Claws of Light, you'll be able to read something about my cousin, the movie star. When I was 21, I was in the Philippines. I was trying to be a movie star because of my cousin was a movie star already. They were gonna, my agent was gonna put me on Marquee already, introducing John Rocco. At a certain point, I looked at all the movie stars. Seriously, I looked at the type of lives they lived. I mean, one time was really seminal. I was at a mall, and a big movie star at the time was walking through the mall, and they had to shut it down. They literally shut down the whole mall so this movie star could go shopping. And I go, oh my God, do I want that kind of life for me, my kids, etc.? I decided not to be a movie star at 21. And so I decided to finish psychology and have family, which is what I did. So since my practice was being hacked, I decided, well, shoot, Hawaii Five-0 had been featuring me a little bit. That means putting you in front of the camera where you don't say anything, but they use your face, they use your acting, and I said, I'll just, and I made a demo reel that helped me get on a scene with Magnum PI with Cyndi Lauper. And so I figured, I'll just make a new demo reel every year. In 15 years, I'll have a movie. Well, since my practice was being hacked, I decided to just make a movie. This was always in my blood. I mean, I was going to be on the Marquee, in 2010, introducing John Rocco, cousin of Bimbo Rocco. I'll just do it now. So I started working on a movie, and when I was in LA shooting, I noticed that, my gosh, I made a huge text, because I was changing dates, I was working the actresses, et cetera, actor, whatever, and I noticed that words were being inserted in my texting. Very derogatory words, very bad words that were just terrible. So this was in April 2018. And then later in summer 2018, I was working with an actress here, and we were arranging for a shoot, and words were being inserted in my text again. And I noticed that I could actually delete these words as they showed up. Oh my gosh, I'm hacked. My phone is hacked. It's pretty similar to what Obama did to Merkel, except this was texting. I knew that my texts were no longer confidential. Around that time also, remember 2010, I noticed that my YouTube was being deleted, the description, and I decided to get two-factor verification, clean my computer, got a new computer, etc. Well, 2018, summer, I was opening my phone and opened some emails, and I saw an email being composed to acting groups, casting groups, from my email, which I wasn't doing. And so I realized that there was interference happening with my film. It was political interference. Political interference. It kind of harkens back to Bruce Lee. He had his last movie, he had the syndicate thing that people were interfering with film. They were interfering with my film. And so remember, what's the subject here? How the Hawaii Democratic Party, how the Democratic Party maintains dominance in Hawaii. Electronic mastery. Now, this is where I say, yes, Trump was quite naive. Electronic mastery. Text being inserted emails being altered, emails being sent in my name, complete ownership of an email account that I have, electronic mastery. They know every single email that was sent. Now I'll just get a little bit deeper because this is quite terrible, some of the stuff. I was communicating with an actress in Los Angeles, and I talked about a very important medical condition that I wanted her to be aware about with my crew, etc. I wanted to be aware so that no one would be in danger, that type of thing. This really, really severe medical condition I was talking about with this actress. I communicated. She was very clear about it. The day before I was supposed to fly out with my crew to Los Angeles to shoot, an accident happened concerning that medical condition with my crew. And it's very interesting. That completely destroyed the shoot, that made it so that the shoot shouldn't happen. Now, this was before I saw the hacking from the texting, you know. I saw the texting later. But this is a situation that I spoke about very in-depthly with that actress because I wanted everyone safe that was going to Los Angeles. And in terms of that happening, that completely destroyed the shoot. People were cast. I had to recast everything because people couldn't make it. My main star, my main opponent, my main political, my main fighting opponent. Just a backdrop. I was cast for Kill Bill. I decided not to be in it. At that time, it was for swinging the mace, essentially. So I'm kind of a martial arts guy. I cast someone to fight against me in California. He couldn't make it back. So this kind of just changed everything. And it all happened because that medical condition, which was set off the day before we left, was ticked. And this is in light of that electronic mastery. In terms of what happens, you think what happened. It was a type of medical condition that could be set off by simply eating a certain type of food. And that happened one day before we were supposed to go. And he was told to eat that food by someone that was in authority. It was a very interesting situation. So, electronic mastery. Now, this electronic mastery I told you about text being inserted, emails being sent in my name. I started changing emails. I just went to a new email. Eventually, I was casting in New York City, and I noticed that words are being inserted in my emails. Paragraph could be changed position. I went through probably 50 plus different emails because I knew that I was hacked, and I wanted to send an email saying this, and things were being changed. And this even got worse. At a certain point, I was in New York City shooting. My wife had gone to Taiwan, and our house got broken into. And I didn't know what happened. The neighbors said that all the alarms went off in the house, and so she called the police, and it said it was Mother's Day, 2019, before COVID. And she called the police. It couldn't turn it off, et cetera, et cetera. I came to the house, and it was broken into, et cetera. From that point on, I noticed that anything electronically that I did in the house, you can open bank accounts, credit cards, a lot of things, it would seem pretty porous, meaning that everything that I did electronically was an open book to opposition. So electronic mastery, you know, there's these devices that you can put places that collect all the information from someone. My house was broken into. Now, of course, what can I do about that? But I'll just say that after that, it seemed like everything electronic was just completely in someone else's hands. I could talk about that later. So this is the first way how the Hawaii Democratic Party and the Democrats maintain complete dominance in Hawaii. I'm going to put a couple links down below of a couple of websites that have been altered that I have. I know that if I have a website up long enough, it'll be altered and deformed, destroyed, that kind of thing. So that is the first way how the Hawaii Democratic Party, the Democratic Party of Hawaii, maintains complete dominance here, electronic mastery. And yes, I will say that Trump was very naive about this. It's something that I know quite deeply. You guys have a good one. Take care. Okay, bye-bye. This is John Rocco. Bye.